Here we go, guys. 2 Maidens, split footage on the ground, in the air. Stick around for the very end where I give you my opinion and wrap up of Maiden flights. All right, guys, here we go. This is the Maiden of the MiG-29 by Freewing from Motion RC. This is the upgraded D85 high-tech servos for the elevators. We're running 5200 ZEEE packs in this. Timer set for 310. So we're going to do just a trimming flight before we really push on the elevator and see how this goes. Going up, left to right. Elevator in this is super touchy. Gonna go to low rate. This thing turns, guys, super tight on low rate recommendations. Feels very light and agile. Like you can really turn it in a shoebox. Holy hell. I can't imagine what this would be like with thrust vectoring.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Motion RC for another Friday edition of our live show, episode 42, where today we get joined by a guest. As we head into the winter months, I plan on having some more guests join the show because there'll probably be less getting out and flying and, more guests. Always nice to be joined by someone, and this guy, Brenden McCormick from the Just Plain Crazy channel, he's somebody that I remember catching on to his channel around the time the AL37s were being, customized by everybody. He busted out this picture of his Pixar AL37, and it was one of the many that blew us all away. And then he also had a lot of build videos, really detailed videos going through the process. He's great on camera. He's definitely worth a follow and a subscribe. So after this video, when you meet the man himself, please head over to his channel, like his stuff, and, that'll be awesome. He's definitely well worth it. He does a lot of cool stuff. But obviously, before that, we'll go through some of our usual customer rundowns. I do have some more progress made on the P47. I'm just about there. I'm just waiting now on a prop, but we'll talk about that in a second. But starting out, I did see a couple people in the chat, so I wanted to acknowledge some people. So the first, Grippins. Yes, our U.S. shipment got delayed slightly. Every time we put an estimate on a pre-order, most of the time it comes in early, which is great. Like, we always pad that to make sure. But this time it's just going to arrive a little late. I'm being told early November, so it should be another week out for the U.S. guys. But I'm so excited that somebody said I lost him. No, is that Wes or you got me? All right. But we're excited that the EU container arrived. I did not expect that myself. I did not expect it. And it was so funny because I saw a few posts on Facebook. Why is the EU not getting anything first? Well, now the EU's getting that Grippin first. So we're excited. Hopefully this weekend we're going to start seeing YouTube videos pop up of other people other than what you've seen on our channel with the Grippin. Grippin and Rippin. Now, as far as the TV units, the container only arrived yesterday in the Netherlands. So what they do, especially on pre-orders, container backs up into the warehouse, they start pulling the boxes out and shipping. So if the spare parts are on the box, or on the container, they get put to the side as they come out, and then they're probably going to be getting checked in as soon as everything that's on the container, literally your pre-orders come out of the container and leave. So, as they pull that out, they got to check in all the spare parts. So I'm not sure if the TV units are there yet. I don't have that confirmation, and obviously I don't know yet as far as the container in the US when that gets here, but we will know. Usually when a pre-order comes, all the spare parts are with it, and that's why it takes a few days though for them to get uploaded on the website because, we got to get pictures of all the spare parts, we got to do all that stuff, but at least the pre-order of the plane, that gets that gets shipped out right away. So hopefully you just bear with us as always, and all that stuff will be revealed as soon as they arrive. And then I saw F900. He was talking, I forget what else he said, but as far as the MiG, as you can see, guys, we're on the forums. I see a few people have posted, crash videos, but we have no more tickets about the MiG than anything else, and so many of them have been sold that there's just so many, like an unbelievable amount of MiGs are out there in the world flying fantastically. As you just saw, Brenden enjoys his. So many people are enjoying theirs, and what's there to say? It's, there's nothing different about it. This isn't an F-18 issue, which was taken care of right away. It's sort of just kind of, right now, it just is what it is. It's a great flying aircraft. I'm still flying mine around as all, and, it's just one of those things. Things happen, there's nothing really more to say about it. Most people are out there flying it, and tons. It's an unbelievable how awesome that plane, how great a seller that plane is. And as it should be, it's a great flying model. So, if you have your MiG, fly it and enjoy it. You're gonna have just tons of fun with it, yeah, so that's about it. I hope that answers, those questions. But as far as the Grippin TV units and the MiG TV unit, I'll tell you, the MiG TV unit was never going to come when it came. That eventually will be coming, and I promise you, when I get it here, this will be the first place you see it, is when I have it on the show, because I'll probably get one. The MiG is just, it's a different it's a different beast. The Gripen was made, you know, you guys already saw it. I have one that's set up. So that's there. I don't have an answer to the MiG. Maybe Alpha jumps in a little later on, and maybe he can answer that more. You know, because when we get on this Discord with Brenden, Alpha could be able to just jump in as a random AI if he wants to get in there. But I see everybody. I want to say hi. I see Wes in the chat. I see GB there. Jeremy Salt was there. David Snyder, Batman, he's going. I was going to do it for this show, but then we did this. I think I'm going to install him live on a show and have him boot Christian Bale out of the plane. But thank you for coming in. Vic, we're going to see your, I love those F-14 flights you did. We're going to check those out in a little bit. But first things first, let's update you on the P-47. So I do have some of the parts here. I got my guy epoxied in. He's ready to go. I'm not going to do this. This is one of the last things I do is with the canopy. I think I actually want to buy canopy glue rather than epoxy. I usually just use epoxy. I'll cut a little bit around, like I'll measure it with a pencil, then cut the inside bit and glue it on top. But that will get done, hopefully, soon. But what I really wanted to get to is the fuselage, because, again, it's always a little different, especially with the Zero, and I noticed this one has the biggest difference from the Zero to this one. I hadn't worked with one that has the tail, the retractable tail mechanism that I showed you guys last week. So I wanted to work on that, and I did make a mistake, which I'll show you in a second. Wasn't so much a mistake, but I followed the manual directly and then realizing afterwards, you know what, it would have been easier to do one thing first rather than that. So hopefully use this. If anybody gets into this, you'll use me as an example. But it's nothing that's going to affect. It's one of those things that I'll know it's there. Most people won't when it's going in. But I got my control surfaces. What I loved about this is about 35 inches across. And the way it's laser cut, I pushed it in, and normally, you're trying to measure back and forth, but 17.5 inches, dead center, like there's no give. It's laser cut perfectly where that just slid right in. I got my horns connected, got my rudder going. So if I lift up here, you can see inside. The only thing I have to do, once I get it bound up, I have my pull wires for the tail wheel. That'll steer the tail wheel. That'll connect to the rudder servo, like that. So I'll do that last. It's one of the last things I do once I make sure everything's centered there. But for the most part, she is pretty good. I put on my box in the front. And should I flip this around? How are we gonna do this, Alex? If I can. Let me get rid of the cowl. Because I do want to...
There's your Halloween costume right there. It looks like you have a P-47 on for a head.
I feel like Nate or Enoch. Enoch was doing that. And we'll show the motor in a second because I do have a fun little update there too. But if you can get over to the tail wheel, I've got this. Let's see. And this is where you'll see my little mistake. It's nothing that can't be adjusted and fixed, but it's something I'm going to do after it's all done. But I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to hit the test. There we go. Get in. And you see my doors aren't fully centered. And the manual tells you to glue in your doors first. And I was an idiot. I shouldn't have did that first. I should have just dry fitted them in there, installed it, and then I could have manipulated my doors. So I just have to go in and, make sure they sit flush. But either way, I love having the retractable tail wheel, and it just works really well. It's a nice full mechanism, full electronics. It's going to be nice to see in the air when it definitely, when this baby comes together. But now, as far as the update, so I ordered my propeller, and this was an issue that I ran into, and I talked to, I talked to the man himself last night, Alpha. I texted him and said, hey, by the way, let me put this in. Please don't fall over. There we go. And I said, obviously with the P-47, so you don't get a spinner, whereas the Zero, you get a spinner, and you put in lightning, it always does that through the test button versus when it's plugged in. That's just it's the test button goes at lower voltage, so it's not weak at all. When it's all plugged in and connected to your receiver, it works like a charm. But what's it called? So if you know, the P47 doesn't have a spinner, so like this model won't come with a spinner. You're gonna have to source yourself a propeller and a prop nut. So I'm going to go electric on this. I know gas guys will eventually convert it to gas, I promise. But I'm going to go with this big bad GP60, same one that I have in the Zero. And this time I'm going to go with the 120. So I'm going to fly this on 12S, which will be awesome. What's it called? But I noticed, and I remembered this from the other one. So I had to drill. So this is my example prop. This is the one you guys yelled at me for. This is not going on this. But my example was when I got the wood prop for the other one, I had to drill the 4 holes. So I used a drill press to drill this, and that's what locks it down. So without the spinner, in essence, you know, without the prop, I was just thinking in my head, I got a 4-bladed prop, wooden prop coming, you know, black, yellow tips, gonna look great. But when I put that on there, I'm like, what am I gonna, I don't have a prop. The prop shaft isn't threaded. It's threaded on the inside. So I talked to Alpha just last night. He calls me up, and in about 5 minutes, he makes a 3D printed file, and we're gonna work on making it work. But he actually did 2. Technology is amazing, because in a matter of 5 minutes, he created this, sent me the file, and I printed it. But basically, this has an M5 nut, fits into the top. So we're gonna create a dummy cap. It's not gonna serve any function other than to look nice. So I'll print it, spray paint it, make it look, you know, silver, but then I'll put my nut in. And what he's also going to do, more like the Corsair prop, we're going to build out the 4, you know, the 4 corners that sort of wrap around the, wrap around the propeller the way the Flightline Corsair, or, you know, I believe the Tiger Cat might have that too, something like that, or the B-24, you know, that like hub that goes on the front. So either way, I'm excited about that. He made 2. One didn't have the hole on top at first, and he said buy a threaded insert and, you know, fit it on there. But either way, when that's done, if you're gonna fly one of these models with, you know, the GP60, we'll put this file up right in the support tab when it's done. So if you want a P47 on, I'm sure you could size it down, and it's one that you could probably fit, you know, on any P47 anywhere. So either way, I thought that was pretty cool that I could call Alpha. He's on the other side of the world, and within 5 minutes, it was funny. He did it and sent me the file faster than my slicing software for 3D printing loaded up on my computer. I was like, I got a file sent across the world, ready to go, and my computer can't open a file locally as fast as that. So either way, I still got to do the other wing, but that's going to take no time. We want to film some bits, because if you notice this week, we went live with our first quick tip video. So that'll be a new series every Tuesday. We're going to try to do some, you know, we're going to have a new tip, and one of the tips I want to do is helping people with the pinned hinges that these come with. So I wanted to make sure Alex is here when I do the second wing, and then once the wing's done, I mean, it's virtually complete at this point. It's just a matter of when that prop gets here. So we'll talk in a little bit. I'll be heading to an event in November that I hope to have it there, but based on the ETA coming from China, I don't know if I'm going to have the prop, but worst case scenario, I'll just pull the prop right off the Zero, stick it on the P47, and just fly it there. But I hope to have the 4-bladed prop. I really want to just Maiden it and, you know, and have it look like a real jug. Going out there, because she's too beautiful to put even a 2-bladed wooden prop on it. But so that'll do it for the P47 progress. And the reason we don't have any flying, guys, this week, first time since we've been here, we got hit by that tropical storm Zeta. We were in Atlanta was in the cone of influence, and about Thursday night, all week it's just been windy and rainy. And then Thursday night, and of course when it hits us, it hits at like 3 a.m. So between 3 a.m. and 5:30, we were getting like 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and you know, thank goodness nothing. We didn't have, you know, too much damage here, but you know, I've never had really wind that steady for that long. It was hairy. Now,
since our Long Island days,
I could only imagine what it would be like to be, you know, in a Cat 1 to have to sit through that, or Cat 2, and You know, if we ever get that, I'm leaving. I'm getting in my car and I'm driving out of here. That's that. I see a question. What kind of prop are we going? Chris Blackburn, I got a 20 by 12. So the recommended prop is a 22 by 12. That's what I'm flying the 0 on. But then rule of thumb, I believe, is take an inch off for every blade you add. So I found a 2012 4-bladed prop. It's a Beechwood. I don't actually don't know the brand. I found it on eBay. It was the only place I could find one. So it's not like somebody's personal prop they're sending me. eBay has, you know, companies that sell them. So I'm just hoping it's, you know, I'm in that route. Well, I don't know what's coming to me. I hope it's, you know, but I hope it's the one I need. Either way, worst case, I would, you know, I'll fly it on a 2-bladed prop until I eventually find one. But I have no reason to not trust that I'm not going to get the prop that's going to work for the job. But I just hope it gets here sometime between, you know, sometime before November 21st is what I'm hoping for. Because they said it could be as late as December. And, you know, the way this things work sometimes. Sometimes you're just waiting for the slow boat. Oh, Imperial, Hurricane Andrew, you sat through it? You stayed there for that? I would never. I'd be out of there in a second. But, all right, guys, so I think that does it for the update. We have Brenden sitting by, so let's just run through. There are a couple things on the community we want to talk about, and then we'll bring in Brenden, and that's how we'll end the show, talking to them. So
let's go to the community?
Let's go to the community. GB, get ready. Can they hear me through this? Yeah. There's no music on it. Okay.
No music.
So new little drop for the customer community. Production quality picking up. You know, you got to put in your drop. So we'll start on Hobby Squawk. I posted the event that I will be attending. I don't think Alex is going to be able to join me, but I'm going to head down to Florida to Mulberry, Florida, to the Imperial RC Club for the Merry Boozers event. They presented Toys for Tots flying. It's just really one day. I think Saturday's the main day, but you can go and fly on Sunday. I plan on getting down there Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon, hang out with Wes. I believe Dave Marshall's going to be there. Dennis Farley, if you're in here, he's going to be there. I know Rich Baker will be showing up, so we were going to hang out probably Thursday. Fly on Friday, you know, learn the place, probably film some video. I want to film Wes fly. I'm going to put Wes at the sticks of one of these big balsa models, of course. And I'm just going to load up a van and head down. It's going to be small, like I'm not bringing a bunch of product. We're not vending, but we'll have a raffle or we'll have prizes. Wes is working on awards and stuff. But if you're in the area, if you want to head down to Florida, we're going to do it. So Alex has family that week, so he can't join me, but I'll bring my camera and I want to film you guys flying. I just got to figure out that week what we're going to do for the live show. I don't know if I'll have service at the field. If I do, I'll try to just go live from the field that day. Or worst case, I'd send out I'll let everybody know Thursday night, not looking like we're going to have a live show that week. We might just bag on it, or I don't want to go live from my phone. I feel like it just... you know, it's worse than anything. I'd rather not even try to hold my phone. I've done that in the past, and it's not going to compete with this. But
you the whole time.
Either way, on the Hobby Squawk, we have an events calendar. All the information is posted there. There's an RSVP link, and I believe, Wes, you can confirm, it's just $10, and you got to bring a toy for a top, and that lets you in to fly. So, you know, I'll definitely have some sort of toy. I got plenty of those. I'll probably take the Christian Bale Batman out of my L39 and donate it. No, but I'm excited. It'll be good to finally get to an event and do some flying. So, you know, and I'm excited to check out that club too. So it'll be fun. I'm ready. I'll be ready to go. Then moving on, who's next? Taz 101. So I had posted this. If you guys know, we got the Mack trucks in and such, and I had asked what are some of the more famous trucks, and people were throwing names out there. And of course, Taz jumps in with 2 customized trucks. I believe it's Smokey and the Bandit on top, and then Optimus Prime on the bottom. I thought that was really cool because those were just some names that people threw out, and of course, this guy's like, "Oh, I already did them."
Got those done.
Yeah, I already got those done. So, you know, it was funny when the Mack trucks came in. My thought was, obviously, they're famous sort of jets. I remember when the F-22 came out, people did the crazy Starscream, you know. And then with Mack trucks, I was just trying to think in my head, what are some of the more famous Mack trucks that people could do? And there they are. So that looked cool.
Is that Stallone movie you were telling me
about?
Oh,
Alex had never seen the movie Over the Top. It's a fantastic 80s movie with Sylvester Stallone where he's an arm wrestling truck driver trying to save his son from his rich stepfather and, make him more blue collar, and he wins the day with an over-the-top movement. You've got to check it out. It's a fantastic. It should have won Academy Awards. It's some of the best work out there. I don't even know what his truck was, but I guess I'm gonna have to make that one. Next, then I saw again, guys, in the description, if you want to make sure your stuff gets on our show, you can share it, like Cash Money Brother shared these two. He painted up, I believe that's his Rebel, but then the other shot is a little better. And he also did, I think that's his MiG, the MiG, our 64mm free wing MiG, and he did them in the same scheme. So I dug that. I'll always take a black plane. Looks cool. And then we have Ridge Runner. So Ridge Runner has the rotor scale. He posted a couple videos of him flying some of his helis, and he's got the rotor scale B222. And aside from, I love the location he's flying at, which is cool. But watch what he does with the B222. He decides, I guess he just got bored of flying scale, and he inverts it and has some fun. But he is Ridge Runner on Hobby Squawk and then Widge Wanna on YouTube. So instead of Ridge Runner, it's Widge Wanna. It sounds like he's got a lisp or something. Sounds like my 4-year-old son. Widge Wanna, like, can't say his R's. I can barely say my R's. That's the Italian in me. But I thought that was really cool. That's the rotor scale 450 B22 Airwolf. Honestly, I never watched Airwolf back in the day. Did they fly inverted? Were they doing crazy stuff in the helicopter? Maybe they did. I don't know. Somebody will have to let me know. So that'll do it for Squawk. Let's head over to Facebook. And there was a lot going on Facebook. Let's start with William Jackson. I guess we don't have to. You could scrub through it, right?
Yeah.
If you guys know William Jackson, he does some awesome customizations, and he went live a couple times this week on the community because look what he's doing to the canopy of his MiG. He hasn't even flown this model yet, and I was just talking to Brenden about this yesterday, and he's like, "Man, I could never cut open a brand new model like that before I even at least Maiden it." But he's going for an awesome Canopy Mod. And this was when he was talking about it. And he has like a little arm, and he doesn't have a 3D printer available to him. So he is solely using balsa wood and sanding and measuring. He's doing it the old-fashioned way. But this looks awesome. So he's putting a servo right underneath, and it's going to open the canopy. And I love that he's got his TV right there. Like, I love seeing the behind the scenes of a mad scientist workshop. It's fantastic. So go check out his posts on Facebook. He is just an awesome dude, and everything that he pumps out of his workshop always looks fantastic and flawless. So I'm excited to see where he ends up with this. The only issue he's going to have is by doing this, he can't put his battery in that middle tray, which for the heavier batteries, you want one in the back and one in the middle. At least when we were flying, the only batteries we were able to achieve CG with a battery in the forward bay with a 4000s. And I mean, you could fly it with a shorter battery just for the fun of it. Like, obviously, you're not lifting that canopy in flight, but either way, just the fact that he's doing it. Good work, William, and we can't wait to see that progress as it comes in. Who else have we got? Oh, and then Vic Shamulus, is he there? He's started it, and he posted a little 15-second video on his channel, but he has started the process of changing his MiG-29. One of the first people I've seen that are going to go for a full repaint of it. You see he's got his Israeli F-14. He had done, a crazy orange AL-37. He had his MiG all crazy done, MiG-21 at one point. But he's going to go with this scheme. Right. Oh, if they see it, there it is. That's the scheme he's going with. So I'm excited to see it when it's done. I thought there'd be more people customizing this MiG, but it's got such a bad, such a mean scheme on it. That digital camera just looks so good that it's hard to do it. Then if you guys saw also, I guess we'll show it in YouTube, but here are some pictures of Jeremy Salt He posted his YouTube video. Remember last week he shared this with me about 10 minutes before we went on the air that he was doing this mod, and then he got it out to fly it, attaching his little F-16 to the back of his KC-135, and it looked like it flew great. I mean, it probably, well, scale-wise, it looked like he was flying way too fast to do a refuel, but I'm sure.
So that scale speed.
But either way, it looked fantastic. It just looked so funny with it hanging off the bottom of his KC-135. And then I didn't share, if you guys want to check him out too, he's working on an AWACS mod. They're making 3D printed molds and stuff to 3D printed files to make the AWACS. So I guess that guy back during our comment contest, he crashed that one. Unfortunately, he didn't want to do another one, so Jeremy couldn't help himself. He needs an AWACS in the air. And in some of those pictures, there's a real AWACS plane in the background that was going by while they were flying it. I believe, if that's right. Jeremy's in the chat. I believe that's what he said. And either way, it looks fantastic. But we'll show a little video of that in a second. Going to Seth Blaine, we had a new member. Just wanted to call him out. Love when new members jump right in and post a picture. So AL37, still, being loved, which is fantastic. And then we had this. If you guys remember Michael Lavero, he's doing that gigantic SR-71. But he was working on, he decided to take a break from that. And he's going with this crazy Halloween. The only real Halloween posted plane that I found. I was trying to think of doing something, but why am I forgetting that guy's name from Nightmare Before? Was it Nightmare Before Christmas? That's called? I forget his name. But
so, in a second,
either way, the blood splatter on the plane, like it looks fantastic either way. So it was one of those movies I never watched. I never actually sat down and watched that one. But either way, it looks fantastic. Totally in Jack Skeleton. There he is. Totally in season for that. So good work to Mike. He's always doing crazy stuff. The what?
The instruments being a tombstone. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, he's got a tombstone in the cockpit, which is fantastic. Jim Jets. So Jim Jets posted this, and people are like, what do you haul them all to his plane with? If you guys know Jim Jets, that's his backyard, my friends. He just walks him out of his barn and flies in his backyard, which is awesome. Then we had Jeff Mizell. So this is Jeff's Custom RC. Guys, check out his channel. I know I've shared it on here before. I was on his channel. He did a Maiden on his MiG. Finally, he pulled one out of the box. Usually he just likes the boxes sitting in his house. But he actually unboxed this one, went out and flew it. So you guys could check out his channel, and I love those pictures. Then we had Jay Custer. I love to see people getting together for a show. Flying Aces there. And they were obviously a lot of Motion RC represented, so always fun to see. And then this is, he said, Ray, Vic, and Stefan with their F-14. So that must have been fun. I wish there was video of that. 3 F-14s in the air. Better than 2. And then I think these will be some of the last ones. A lot of pics came in from James Bowen. I've shared some of his stuff, but ME262 he shared. It looked like he was with a bunch of guys. And again, just enjoying some Motion RC products. But some of these shots are really cool, especially with the Corsairs. One on the ground, one in the air. I mean, who doesn't love a Corsair? They had their Mirages out there. All in all, a lot of fun. Looks like it was being had. Tiger Cats and, everything. So that was fantastic. And then lastly, for funny, go to the video is the last one I want to show. We'll go right to that funny video. I saw this post up. I think this is the FNRC guys. They're absolutely insane. But Alex, you'll love this one. Have you watched this?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Alex hasn't seen this one yet, so I'll be quiet.
Oh, is there sound? Should I turn it up for him?
The little sound, yeah. I think there might. Yeah, there's a little sound. Here we go. You're gonna love this. Like, I almost think they do it on purpose, but if they didn't do it on purpose, either way, I thought that was a riot. Like, that is what would happen. Don't bring your dogs to the airfield and try to launch it. You don't start running around a dog holding something. That is just not what you're supposed to do, but that was really funny. And then lastly, we have 2 things on YouTube, one of which will be, let's start with Jeremy Salt. You could just see a little bit. I just cut. Don't play the sound. You go to his channel if you want to watch the full thing. Jeremy, I just cut up your video a bit and just showed the bits of it flying because you were going back and forth from pictures of flying and you added music to it. But here are just some of the passes of that F-16 refuel. It just looks so cool. I wish I was out there seeing that. Like, that would have just given me a laugh to see.
I would love to chase that with the quad.
Yeah, or a camera, or put an FPV camera on the F-16.
Yeah.
You know, so like you're just looking up at the bottom of the AL-37. That would be wicked. Yeah, Wicked Moto. That dog knew he was in trouble. He knew he messed up, but he's probably like, "It's your fault. You don't hold something and run near me, man." But look how sweet that looks. It looks so funny, but so real. And I'm excited to see how he does his AWACS. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So, either way, good on that. And it lands. Did you scratch, Jeremy? Did you scratch the F-16 when you landed? Like, I would assume it's got to be a close fit, especially on takeoff. Either way. And then lastly, Vic. If you guys saw Victor Shamulus found another F-14 friend. He's got his painted up in Israeli colors, and he posted 2 videos. So I just did a quick 1-minute mashup between the 2 of them, Vic. But definitely head over to his channel. I believe he's now Victor RC Jet on YouTube. Yep, there he is. He's up there. Awesome work, Vic. That looked like a lot of fun. I love when that F-14 comes out from behind. Like, you didn't see it in camera, and then he just blows by. But either way, love him when the wings sweep, and, you know, the paint job you did on that F-14 is really, really awesome. I'm sorry, Iranian, not Israeli. Iranian F-14. My fault. It's awesome. Either way, good work, Vic. And that'll about do it for the countdown. So we'll get Brenden ready to come in. I'm going to put in headphones. And while I'm doing this, guys, have any of you checked out Just Plain Crazy yet? Have you seen his channel? Has any of you met Brenden in person yet?
All right,
Let me know in the comments. Brenden, we're live. We hear you.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me on. Greatly appreciated. Happy to be here.
Beautiful. We got Brenden. He's in. I love the workshop view, and there he is. Right on. So Brenden joins us. So Brenden, tell us a little bit about who you are and, you know, Just Plain Crazy a bit. And, you know, obviously we can see what you do behind you.
This is so welcome. You know, thanks for everybody hopping on. Thanks for having me. As I said, I'm down here in what I call my lair. This is the part of the basement that I quarantined off for just my hobby room, and it's far enough away from the wife's normal travels, so this isn't an area she gets to see very often, which is good. So I started, I guess, in the RC hobby from my grandfather. He was really my influence. I grew up around him, and he was a scratch builder. He would take plans out of RC Modeler, if you've ever heard of that magazine, and he would blow them up and literally go to like a copy center and make a set of plans as big as he wanted to make, and sometimes even make 3 versions of these planes. And I grew up with that, and I like to look at them, but I really never had interest in it. And then I got into my early 20s one day, and I'm like, I need a hobby. And I talked to him, and I was like, you know, I was always in RC cars, but I'm like, you know, I really want to try the plane thing. So he gave me one of his. I learned on a scratch built from him 3-channel rudder only plane, and he said, you know, make sure you get with somebody. So really the internet wasn't a thing yet, and it was hard to find people. There really wasn't a whole lot of airplane clubs around anywhere that you could find. So I found a guy that used to fly, a buddy of mine, and he said, yeah, I can help you start learning. So I took this 3-channel, easy floating, very light trainer plane. And, you know, they used to build this stuff with like a translucent monocoat, and it's just stick framing. So very light, very easy to fly, not wind friendly though. And he took me up behind a big factory where they make windows, nice parking lot. And here in the country, we have a lot of open areas like that. So he took it up, and we're flying. And this was, you know, one of those hurry up and hand the transmitter back kind of things. And he's flying it, and he's like, here, you can fly it for a little bit. And I was like, okay, I kind of feel this. All right. And getting used to it. And he took it back. and he flies it behind us and over the parking lot. And I'm new to this, so I don't know what's the right thing to do or not to do, but he winds up flying it over this building. And from where we were standing and the angle of the building, eventually the plane went to a point where you couldn't see it anymore. And I got to hear very quickly my very first airplane crash. And it was like, I was like, oh my God. So devastated, picked up all the pieces from the other side of the building. Thank God it wasn't on the roof. And called my grandfather, and he's like, throw it in a bag and bring it back. And he took me to his club, and I watched more guys crash stuff there. And I was like, is this really a hobby I want to get into? But he convinced me, stick the course, and I bought a real flight simulator, one of the early versions of it. And while he was fixing this plane up for me, I started learning on the simulator. And when he gave me the plane back, it was ready to fly again. And at that point, I had found a club, reached out to a guy I used to actually race RC cars with. And he's like, absolutely, we're starting an RC club. We've been flying planes. Come, hang out with us, see it. And I showed up, and he put me on a buddy box with a cord, and everything was right like it was supposed to be. And I flew, and it was safe, and you weren't worried about destroying things. And he's like, you're doing fine. You don't need me. And he unplugged, and away he went. And I was like, oh my God. So you get that first adrenaline rush really of doing this in this hobby. And from there, it just kind of took off. It went into, I need a trainer with ailerons. So I got a Superstar and started learning that way. And I think that was, at the time where it's like, I want to learn as much as I can about everything RC related. And I started just picking up information from whether it was stick-built planes. I actually built some from scratch myself. I built some from kits. And I think that's a lot of good experience. And I think a lot of that stuff from being, and I say in a lot of my videos, you just be a modeler. You got to be an RC hobbyist. If you don't have the part, you don't have the piece, like you referred to William Jackson earlier. Can I make it? What can I do with what I have? What resources are available? And that's what I try and drive a lot of my videos around, is what can I give people that's going to help them with a tip or a trick that saves them money, saves them an airplane, and continues to let them enjoy this hobby.
Yeah, man, thank you. I love the history of why people, everybody finds it a different way, and all the, and all that is always fantastic, especially, I'm glad that they're like the history. I always, that's one thing I miss. I wish nobody in my family did this, prior. So, I'm sort of learning, and I hope that I could be the grandfather too, eventually that gets my son and his son or whatever, or my daughter even, whatever, if they want to fly too, let's do it. Into that. It always helps. So
I tried getting my son and daughter into it over the years, and they've actually learned how to fly. And, it didn't click with them, but it didn't click with me either till I was in my 20s. And, now it's just exploded. And it's just, I'm finding more and more of my niche. My daughter went off to college for a little bit, so I kind of dropped back from the hobby while I was traveling with her in high school sports before she went off there, and took some time away. But now that I'm back in, it was right about the time where I kind of really discovered motion and EDFs, and really got started in that portion of it. And I really found the niche in this hobby that I really enjoy. And as you can see in the layer, my wife carried something down into the basement the other day for me because I can't lift it at the moment. And she says to me, oh, I don't remember this one. Where did that one come from? And I'm like, just get out. Don't ask questions you don't want to hear the answers to, So as soon as she was out the door, it's like, I got a locksmith on the phone, right? We're changing locks. We're going to lock the place down again. But it's addicting. And I think as we talked the other day, I really enjoy one-off stuff. I like the stuff that not everybody at the field has. I like planes that are a little difficult to fly. So, the Corsair is on that list, the A-10s, a Pitts, the F-14 for sure. I love the anomalies, and it's kind of a drug habit, if you will. We enjoy that, and I think what people don't understand is it's really about that adrenaline rush. And if I had to pick the plane that gives it to me every single time I fly it, that gets the bones rattling, it's the F-14.
And I don't think it's because of the money that's involved in it. I just think it's so iconic to see it. You know, in your head, you can't tell me you don't fly that plane and hear the Top Gun music going in the back of your head.
Yeah, every time it goes.
You know,
out.
you got the gear down and you're coming in to land, and you know, Maverick, you're half a mile out, call the ball. You know that music, that tone is going off in your head. So it's just the way it makes you feel. Everyone is different, and you know, to see people be amazed at watching some of this stuff fly. And the AL has been an amazing plane for me right out of the gate. Probably one of the few planes I've ever owned that I probably have 150 flights on that thing now. And people, is that the plane you take everywhere? It has literally become my go-to plane, and it's nostalgic. Nobody has one like it. I think one other guy or two other guys did it after me, and it was, you know, over in Europe or something. But, you know, there's other ALs that have been sparked, you know, because of seeing mine. But it is so cool to fly in the air, and it's flat and it circles, and I know it does more, but I just love the scale takeoffs and landings. And the guys that I got to hang out with at the field, how dark can it be and fly this thing? That's become my mission at this point. And I've gotten it down to the point where you can't see anything anymore in the air, but all the landing lights coming in. And just to watch this coming in, the scale effect is so cool.
Yeah, and the one thing I remember when, you know, when we unboxed that, we maidened it right at Null in the Fall, you know, a triple tree for that. When Wesley did that first touch and go, where the main stayed down and it just nose wheelied across the runway and took around, like, that's where it shines. Yeah, I lost my mind. You hear me in the video. I was like, ah! Like,
I remember watching that video, and I'm like, I shared it with like my regular airplane club, and I'm like, guys, you see this? And they're like, oh, it's an airliner. No, but this is a blank slate. You don't understand.
Yeah.
So instantly, before you guys even put it up for sale, I was all over the internet, and I'm like, I like that one. I like that one. But it didn't grab me. And then I got into the Alaska Airlines, and I was like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. I like this one. I like that one. And then sure enough, I found the one that I'm like, oh, this is the one. And it was already, the order was already placed through Cali before you guys even put it up for sale. So the minute that it became on the pre-order and I hit it up, I mean, I actually had my graphics, I think like 2 weeks before that thing actually came in from you guys. But, you know, Callie does great work, and she's done a gazillion of these things now.
I think the AL37 propelled her business probably to new heights and put her on back orders for, you know, for months at that time. Like, you know, and I'm sure she's not complaining about it because it's awesome. But the amount, to pick a scheme like that, like, and I watched your videos through, guys, you could see he's got about, I think, 5 videos from start to finish on how you did that. And it's one of those schemes where, you know, if you're all in, go all in, but, you know, you could see the effort that went into it and just unbelievable work. So I guess that leads me to the next step, obviously just plain crazy. So I remember you back, so that was what, January, February you did this, you posted this up. We did our contest, which you ended up entering it into in March. That was the March Madness. But I noticed on your channel you have older videos
in
too.
The first round.
You got booted in the first.
To go to the end.
Did you go up against the Star Wars one? I think I put you up against Star Wars.
No, the other, there's another guy that did a really cool Mickey scheme, and you guys put me up against the Mickey the Wizard scheme, and I'm like, oh,
the
God,
nighttime make it Fantasia.
Right,
I'm in trouble.
That's tough, Fantasia. Man. You don't beat the mouse.
No, it was phenomenal. The
reason Mickey's smiling all the time is because he's loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I tried to put everybody against, you know, that first round was for similarities to, you know, I tried to make it so that there wouldn't be, let's say, 4 AL37s making it into the finals, you know? Like,
right. No, it was tough. It was tough. It was fair, but it was tough.
Yeah, it was.
But,
I like
it was right about that time I decided to launch the channel and do that. And I was like, you know, I really want to do something here. And I threw it out there as like one of these things where I'm going to video record this and kind of start somewhere. Don't know where to start. Don't know anything about the YouTube stuff. And if this video doesn't even turn out to look decent, I'll just throw it to the side. Not a big deal. Nothing lost. And I was like, hey, that was pretty cool, you know, and I could share this and share that and share a lot of the things that I pick up and learn along the way. Like I said, that makes people's lives a little easier. And what I really try and shoot for is, you know, what makes sense to somebody else building one of these models or wanting to customize a model or fix a model or upgrade a model, what is in their realm of possibilities? You know, there's a lot of really, really smart guys that do a lot of really great things, but they're very hard to duplicate or replicate what they're doing. And we can try it, and it just doesn't turn out. I try and do things that I think with just a little bit of practice or, you know, a little bit of information really helps the general public. So that's what I really shoot for. What's obtainable for people? And I put that video together, and I was so happy with the way it turned out, and got to fly that thing. And again, the adrenaline rush of the Maiden, literally flew it. There was still snow on the field. I got a guy to do some video recording for me, a friend of mine up at the club, and he did all that recording for me, and I flew it, and I was like, oh my God, this thing is fantastic. But it was like some of the camera stuff I was using, you know, wasn't great, and the Maiden video was okay, but you know, you find out things as you start to roll and develop the channel. You get input from people, which they give me in the comments section, and I try and reply to about everybody I can, you know, and they help you. You know, it's I used to have really long intros, and someone's like, you could kill the intros, and I'm like, yeah, I see it. You know, I could kill the intro a little bit. You know, hey, can you touch on this detail a little more? And I'm like, sure, let me do that. And, you know, you learn along the way. So you can see the video progression. But from February to now, man, that, oh, my God, we're almost 1,200 subscribers. I think all the guys that are on here now watching and, you know, that will watch the video later in the recording. Hey, I thank you guys. You know, I appreciate you spending the time and watching. And I like to try and keep the thing, you know, ad free if possible, because I just like doing this as a hobbyist, as a generalist. And I've really taken that to the next level where I love to travel now to different clubs. I've actually flown more at different clubs this year than I have at my home field, but I've gotten to meet so many great people that I never knew, never had contacts with, learn more about what's out there in the hobby that I didn't know about, and then, you know, get to share my stuff. And I've had guys flying $20,000, $30,000 jets that are down here scoping out the AL and how cool it looks, because everybody has that $20,000, $30,000 Carf jet, and you know, it's something different that sparks people's interest, I think.
Totally, and I just love what you do with the informational stuff. Is what drew me to your channel. You know, pulling, because obviously a lot of channels are similar. There's only so many ways you can fly a plane for camera and talk about it. You know, those videos are all going to be the same universally across, regardless of who's doing them. But you know, it's those in depth, like. Even that FMS Bayhawk video was one that I watched through, because I'm like, look at this, like, well, actually the first thing I did was I went to start, and then I went to the end to see what it looked like, and I'm like, oh, yep, this is worth seeing how he got there, you know, like
10 minutes later, no, it looks the same, forget it, that's not worth watching.
Yeah. You could tell me where, but it's like, you couldn't tell me that wasn't just a rebought fuselage. Like, it looks that good. It's hanging up behind you. It looked that good, and you know, that's
is.
just.
And when I looked at it, it was
how you do it is fantastic.
It was $100 for the fuse, and that plane was sitting, and some of the club members that were there with me that day, it was dumbness. I was so interested. We have a competition, so I'll tell you how this starts. We have a competition when I stay over at certain clubs, who can get out to the field first and fly in the morning. So every time I revisit some of these clubs, and the one that I'm thinking of is called Wings of Williamsport. So it's up in Williamsport by the Little League World Series area. So we're up there in the morning, and every morning, like now guys are out flying in their pajamas. They don't even get dressed anymore in the morning. They leave a camper, their tent, and they rush out to the field to try and get that first flight into the day. And I had packs charged for the day, and I used caps on mine to mark them charged or discharged. So that way I know, and I had a pile of charged ones and a pile of discharged ones, and I always check the voltage checkers in my pocket, and I was in a hurry and I didn't do it. And I picked the wrong pack up. I put a dead pack in this Hawk, and I took off. I made one very slow flap down pass right above the runway. I went to power out, and sure enough, there was nothing there. And I'm like, oh my God. And then you know, hindsight's 20/20, of course.
Yeah.
I put the gear down, I put the flaps down, and all that did was rip all that out when it went down into the field. So I should have just left it all up, but, you know, lesson learned. Yeah. So from there, I just took this plane, I threw it on a pile, and I'm like, well, that's garbage. You know, I can't fix that. This is broke. That's broke. And I'm like looking on the website, pricing stuff out, and I'm like, this is $100. That's another $20. This is $30. And I'm like, a new plane's $300. So is it worth fixing or is it not? Well, let me see what I can do with low-cost materials. And if I fail at it, I fail at it. I gave it a shot. but then it's no harm, no foul. I'm not losing anything. So, I did a video on my A10 on how to do foam repair, and I found out using a steamer worked really well. So I start pulling, tugging, manipulating, steaming, heating. And then once I had stuff kind of shaped back, then I inserted some carbon rods and held it back together. And I'm like, I think this is possible. This is going to turn out okay. And then I broke out that Benchcraft airbrush that, it's first time for me also. And we did some airbrushing with it. And I found ways to make the color a little bit match better and blend in. And by the time it was said and done, I'm like, man, you can't even tell standing here looking at it that it was fixed nonetheless, or you're ever going to see it in the air, but still flies nice.
They always fly better after a crash. I find
well, there's no stress.
They always
no
just
stress.
fly. You lose the care to it. But so actually, being that you have the MiG sitting there, and obviously the MiG's still hot in people's minds, it's awesome. What are your thoughts on it? Because you're totally independent.
So totally independent. So just for everybody out there, in the last month, I've enjoyed flying the Gripen a lot more than I have the MiG. It's been, Gripen has been. No, I'll stop right there. I can't play that off any longer because you guys will get killed.
Oh yeah, we're right
congrats to all you guys.
This is how rumors start.
Them, but yeah, you guys killed me. I was just getting ready to buy the Venom and the L39, and I'm like, let me wait. I want to wait a day. I want to wait 2 days. And all of a sudden, the MiG come out. It's like, done. And then it was like a couple days later, then this Gripen come out, and I'm like, I can't sneak 2 of them boxes past the wife. That'll never happen. So, this MiG, and it was one of those things. I'm a fan of the dual motors. The F-14, I have a grass field. It's actually a farmer's runway. So it's 1,600 feet of farmer's runway. They used to fly like parts for farm vehicles and stuff many years ago in and out of there, but they kept it as like a farmer's airport. So it's fairly packed down. It's got some bumpy grass in it, but it's all right. And we do a good job keeping it mowed down for our club size. But really fell in love with the F-14, then the A-10, and then the AL. So like this thing is a dual motor plane, and it's big. And I was like, oh, I'm in. I gotta get this thing. And then the thrust vectoring I've never played with before, but I thought, well, it's an idea for down the road. So I got this plane, and instantly, like, I applaud the guys that are going to change the scheme, but I absolutely love the scheme. And one of my fears was the tiger in the tail, because it looked in the videos like it was a predominantly popping picture. And in the real plane, it's a very faded gray picture. So when I actually got the decals, I was very happy to see they are like dulled down a little bit. And then what I did with this plane, so that way I didn't lose any of the look to the water slide decals, is I min-waxed with polyacrylic the whole thing, and it took away all the edges. So nothing's going to peel up. Everything's protected. But I use a matte on the Warbirds. If you want shiny, do shiny, but I wanted a dull look for this one. So instantly covered them up, and it took the Tigers down even a little bit more. I love the way it looks. But as far as a grass plane, man, these retracts were great getting it off the field. Plenty of power. There was no like, I don't know if this is going to be enough to fly. Like, it's great. And it climbed out hard. It wasn't like lackadaisical. Speed is good for a plane this size. What I found, though, for me, and I think recommendations in the book are good recommendations to get started. I found that this plane was very elevator sensitive. Like, you could almost stall this plane in a turn because you could turn it so fast with CG recommendations and the throw recommendations in the back. So knowing that there was, some accidents reported or whatever else on Facebook, I was cautious. Right after I changed my servos, I kept the arm length, where it was recommended, the whole 9 yards. And I went with the high-techs. That's just what I put in my F-14. I had good success, so I was going to do the same here. It's not that big of an upgrade. So I did that and used the stock linkage. And flying this thing, I felt comfortable, but I was like, I don't like the way that this flies yet. Dial-wise, I want to dial it into my style. And, I almost wonder, and, if Alpha was here, I'd, pick his brain, but I'd love to know, was the MiG designed around more of the thrust vectoring in mind, or was it more in line of design with all the specs of a fly a jet like we've been used to flying EDFs? And I think that's where that separation has to come into play. I'm used to flying everything else. You know, you're punching holes in the sky, you're buzzing towers, the whole 9 yards. This plane flies different from that. And I changed the rates. I dialed them down. I think I'm about 75% on the elevator where recommendation was. And I found that a lot of my free wing stuff, I like the aft recommendations on the CG. So I'm about 5 millimeters back from what was recommended. And by toning down those elevator rates, it doesn't pull so hard in a turn where you can actually make a bigger, carry more speed through the turn. And then the elevator throw is less, which means there's not as much stress. And then I did the upgrade on the linkage after talking with a good friend of mine. I bounce ideas off of him all the time. He has a lot of experience, you know, and I really look at, you know, you're as smart as cumulatively the people you surround yourself with. So if you're never willing to listen to advice or ideas, you're never going to learn anything. And I like listening to people. I like learning, experimenting, and trying. So we threw around the linkage idea, came up with some plans, and that's what I went with. I tweaked it a little bit, and then I put this stuff in. But this has been, since then, I trust it. It's been a great flying plane. I have literally 40 plus flights on this thing now. And the condition that I was having with it was on a full throttle. The longer you were in the throttle, the more I noticed that it tucked the nose. And not everybody's had that concern. Some people have had that concern, but I've also noticed that there's some differences in the carbon tube linkages in the back. For a couple bucks for the linkage upgrade, for the servo upgrade, I'm okay tweaking things to me. And I think that's what this needed, is I wanted it tweaked to my flying style. And this has been a great rock solid plane since. And if you guys are knife edgers, oh my God, this thing has to be the best knife edging EDF that I own. Second would be my Futura that, you know, has unlimited vertical power, knife edge ability. This MiG, man, holds its own. You can now roll this thing into a knife edge and full bore right over the field, and it holds it perfectly. So I'm impressed by how big it is, how beefy it is, how light it is. I'm getting about 4 minutes of runtime. You know, I get it. There's some stuff surrounding it, but man, this thing's knocked out of the park.
Awesome. And guys, if you guys check out his channel, he does have a whole video dedicated to the linkage mod. He has one customizing. I see the ordnance there on the plane.
A little bit of color, man.
You got a couple of those maidens and flying, you know, right off grass. I mean, it's all there for you guys to watch well after this. But I did ask some people for if anyone had questions. So the first question, I see Dennis, I'll get to yours, but GB had a basic question. Do you have a favorite? A softball, yeah. Let's lob a softball to Brenden. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite RC channel that you watch? It doesn't have to be ours. It doesn't have. It could be.
I'm going to gain one
As
subscriber.
long as it's not someone we don't like.
Here. You want to know who I really enjoy right now? Really enjoy? I just got here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got here.
I saw him popping in. Okay. All right.
He's got it going on. You know, there's something to me that just entertains the personality, the outgoingness. You know, he's taxiing around his F-18 out in the parking lot, and you know, he's flexing the gear. And I even made a comment to him. He goes, you know, and you PG, I guess we'll keep it, but he goes, you know, and he's sitting there bending it, and he goes, "Yep, it's not too stiff." And it's like, "Yep, that's what she said." You got to throw that in there. But it's you know, he's entertaining to watch. But there's a lot of great people out there that have great content, and you know, it's the normals and a lot of the guys that are here in this group. I love watching them. You know, I hope in return, you know, they like the stuff that, you know, I'm putting out there. But really, what it's doing is helping to grow this hobby and this community in a way it never has. You know, and just having the support when you have an issue, you have a concern, and you throw stuff out there. Somebody's fix may not be perfect for you, but if it sparks an interest in the way you want to go with it, you know, it's going to help you out. And we didn't have that 25 years ago. You know, it was very hard to come by information, and the way that we can share pictures and customizations and ideas, it's phenomenal.
It's crazy. And that's part of, I also think, silver lining to the whole COVID mess was that, you know, the hobby itself has picked up. I think all hobbies in general have seen an uptick in sales. Like I spoke to you about this. I think whether you sell golfing equipment or, you know, skiing equipment, like people are getting invested in their hobbies, and RC has become one of them. So I just hope when people find these communities that, that's what keeps them here. I hope if we ever get back to a normal, if you will, the people that we gained during this stay with it,
Yeah.
and I think RC is growing. I think we're at a phase where just look at what you can get now. I mean, the gigantic P47 I have here, like all of a sudden now, but I mean, there's so much out there, and
The technology has never been better. And you can get this EDF and literally get it into the box and going in a half an hour. I mean, some planes you get out the box and it's 5-10 minutes. It takes longer to put the information in the radio, which they've even now helped you with, or you can download that into stuff. But you set up your programming, 5 screws, and you're out at the field if you wanted to.
But now that's the one thing too, that the hardest thing is, because it is so easy. Like, I noticed, at least on our YouTube channel, I get a lot of comments on like the MiG videos, like, hey, does this come with a transmitter? And you get these comments, you're like, wait, are you a beginner? Like, you shouldn't be, we got to sort of there's got to be a bit of a re-education that, no, you want to go get this XK plane or this smaller, start there, get the simulator. Like, obviously when you release a big video, you're talking to the people who should know that this jet is something that's for them, but bringing in new people, it's hard to find that information. That's why we're hoping quick tips. I have ideas for beginner series, try to get things that, and I need more people out there, show beginner, where should you start? If you remember, do you remember being a true beginner? Like I was a beginner about 8 years ago. I have a good memory of, I knew nothing, and coming to, now I can fly a gigantic balsa plane. Like, you'll get there, but
the curve comes quick, but you gotta be an advocate for the hobby. And I just got done training 2 young kids for our club, and got them involved in a plane, and it was a good plane for them to learn with, and the technology's there now to help you succeed one way or another. You go about it, you join a club the right way, you get around the right people, get the right advice.
Yeah. So now going to other questions. So we'll try to do these, let's try to do a little quicker. But so someone is adding clear coat worth your time and weight. Do you find any? Yeah,
you're 3 coats, 4 coats of the Minwax. Dries for recoat in literally 15 minutes, and you're talking less than a total of 2 ounces for a total coating of a plane. Dull for warbird, shiny for shiny.
Okay. Victor RC Jet, have you spent too much money on the hobby?
Next question.
Next question.
You're cutting out. Sorry.
Are your kids going to college or not?
My daughter is currently in college. My son opted not to go that route.
There you go. What is your most expensive RC? So this was from Lee. Do you have? I guess that's a question I was going to ask. What's your favorite? I would tie that into, I'm assuming, I've seen you on videos. You have some bigger balsa stuff that you do. What is your, do you have most expensive or biggest thing?
So a couple different, most expensive and biggest and favorite flyers, I think, are all in different categories. So the airliner behind me, I honestly feel is my favorite. It's no stress. It's easy to fly, great to land and take off, and it has great nostalgia around it. As far as most expensive, I am actually just starting the process. I'll build over the course of the winter. It's a Carf hybrid. So it's actually, the fuselage is made by Carf. The wings and tail are made by Pilot. It's a very, very limited series. And as far as electric goes, and I'll throw just a shameless plug there, HV Aviation helped me with a motor setup for it. It is actually a belt-driven gear reduction power system, again, that I got from a recommendation. And I'm going to be powering it so that way the battery lasts longer. But that one's going to be the biggest, nicest plane that I've probably ever built. So very long term. Beyond that, I think the Hangar 9 X Cub, just because of my motor choice for that one with the Sato twin cylinder 4-stroke, probably will fall in second as far as cost wise for it. And that one is my biggest model. I think that one's around 120-inch wingspan. But as far as grab it, go to the field, easy to fly, and what I love, I really think the AL is there.
Nice. All right, I'm looking through. I saw the Wicked Moto. Newer pilot, where would you suggest? I mean, this is a tough question to answer, maybe, but like, to start customizing, he doesn't want to bite off more than he can chew. Like, me personally, prime the plane, paint it one color, and get a decal set from Cali. would be about the easiest thing I think you could do.
Yeah, I really think the airbrushing I found out is a technique. I struggled with keeping an airbrush flowing. I think is the big thing, because you get that tip dry and stuff, which again I just learned by watching other people's YouTube videos and trying some tricks until I got good flow. I just worked on customizing a scheme for it was an FMS Warthog in a fantasy blue, gray, and white camo scheme. But, if I really want to tell you something, I think you're spot on there, James. I think a can of Rust-Oleum 2X on a model that you're not afraid of messing up, paint it all one base color, and get work it masking off a little bit, like Canopy's glass stuff, things like that. And literally get a set of decals from Cali and clear them. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, you spend more time masking than you do customizing when you do it that way. Like my little P51, I just painted it all white. All I did was mask the canopy off and then threw some Miss Foxy Lady on there. And everybody's like, oh, I love it. And I'm like, that's the easiest customization I ever did. Or my Batman one.
Where did you get that? Oh, it's custom made.
Yeah, the best thing you could do is crash your plane, then customize it, because then you don't care. Like that L-39 that I turned into Batman, now I just mess it around. That's what it's for. Let's see some other ones. Also keep in mind, one question for Brenden. Claudio asks, when there's not enough room for placing correctly the receiver antennas, what do you use to isolate them from the battery? Ooh, have you ever run into that issue? Where, there's some planes where the canopy's tight.
Receiver placement for me is a big deal, and as time goes on and you become more in depth to being a modeler, you get. I would recommend customizing your own extensions so you can make things fit where you want them. Don't be limited by what's there. Understand that there's other ways to put things where you want them. And I'll be honest with you, the F-14 is a creation of where do you want to put this and how am I going to make that happen? Space is tight even for a 10-channel that I'm running a 10-channel receiver in that thing. But sometimes making your own, little shelves or brackets or moving things and reinforcing, don't feel that you're limited by what the manufacturer did. The manufacturer gave you a platform. That platform you make to your style.
Yeah, and there's so many different spots. Whereas like the MiG, I love how much space is in there to move things around. Like I have my receiver in that back battery bay on one side and the satellite on the other side. 4 ways, of the antenna, but like totally outside of the battery. Like nothing. It's not going to get in the way. You're always going to have it in view, if you will. But yeah, the toughest ones, man, it's tough to work with smaller canopies. You just got to be crafty is the best thing you could say. But you definitely want to keep them away from carbon. And you got to look at your plane, too. This one thing I'll say is quick because, customers that we did, on a crash recently, somebody had their aerials basically under their battery. And it's like, you should like it's a tough thing. Your signal is not going to transmit through a big lipo battery, so you gotta keep them. You want to keep them as far away, and sometimes that's tough, but you got to keep them as far away. And that 90 degrees is really Maiden
success is based around the time you spend making that model right before you take it out and fly it the first time. I've been blessed to be picky about stuff like that, and I can't say that I've had a Maiden failure. Knock on some wood, but it comes from being picky and being detail oriented, making sure things are fast. And yeah, it's overkill, and yeah, it takes you longer to put something together, but your $400 or $200 model, money is different on everybody's level. It's worth it to spend the time to know and feel that it's right when it hits the air.
Yeah. All right, see this one. Perry asks, what packs are giving you the longest flying time on your 737? That thing flies pretty long.
I have gone with just 6,000 packs. What I've found out, flying planes, like it's more about your flying style and throttle management than it is more about the pack size. I think the plane flies really well. I use HRB 6000s in that. I've used Roaring Top 5500s. I like a little bit more weight in the 6000, but I'm a little over 4 minutes. But what I found out, a lot of guys, you fly EDFs, they only last 3 to 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. You can extend that if you want to, but you kind of get mentally burned out. You get complacent after a while. You get bored, and I think sometimes that leads to crashes because you're just you're off a little bit. So I really like that 4-minute time frame for me. You're out, you're flying a little bit. Now let me get it down, land it. I'm not too over nervous, and let me go grab something off the Traeger now to eat or hang out and BS with my buddies for a little bit, and we'll get back out on another pack.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see people commenting here. What motor is that on my left? TNRC. This is the Admiral GP 60 180 kV. This is what I flew the Big Zero on, and this is what's going in the P47 behind me before they eventually do get a gas conversion. But she's a big mamma jamma, and she's awesome. I absolutely love it, and I love that it's got Motion RC on it, which makes it even cooler. So I dig that. What do we got here? Oh, somebody Whale said, I hope his wife isn't watching this video, Brenden, about when we talking about.
I honestly don't think she's a subscriber. I honestly
It's so funny. My wife only just recently subscribed to like our Instagram. She's like, oh, one of my friends said you do really cool stuff on your Instagram. I'm like, been doing that for 8 years, Alex.
Alex flies those spots. That's really cool.
I don't push her either. I don't like, hey, you got to
video.
Subscribe. No, I don't know about that.
Yeah, my kids think I'm some like celebrity. I'm like, no, I'm not a celebrity.
Oh, you're a celebrity.
We just make the videos.
You know it.
I've never been noticed anywhere other than an RC show, which is understandable. I see. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about weight and with paint. I always see that question. I don't think you'd ever be able to add enough paint that you are going to throw off your CG or performance.
No,
I mean, like
it's negligible. It really is. And I'll be honest with you. You add, when you do afterburners in planes, you're one of two flyers. You're either your looks, you're nostalgic, or you're about performance. And any weight you really add changes from the way the plane was designed. But with paint and clear coat, you're talking 2 ounces, which could be a receiver size or a couple 100 milliamps in a battery. So that's negligible. And I don't even most of the time strip off the old paint that's underneath. It's not worth it. I take off decals if need be, give it a base coat, paint over the top of it. And you're not going 12 coats of things. I mean, you're really talking 2 ounces. You'll add more if you ever do an afterburner than you will with paint. And really, you're getting that one-off look that nobody else has. They may have the same plane, but they won't have one that's yours.
Exactly. That's what's always fun about customizing is, you see a lot of the same planes at the field. You want yours to be a little different. It's worthwhile. And I would say to somebody, if you've never done it before, take a model that you just don't fly as much. It'll breathe new life into it. You might bring it back to the field. I mean, we all have those models that we loved to fly when we were flying them. You put them down, you move on to something else, and you almost forget how much fun you had, and you don't remember the last time you flew it. You take it out, and man, this model's great. They don't get old. They nothing's gonna the F-86 has been around a long time, but when I get a chance to fly, I love flying that plane. It's like
it sounds like you and the 262.
The 262,
yeah. Out, you're like, it's my favorite.
Yeah, every time a 262 comes out, I'm like, this is my favorite plane. Why haven't I been flying this?
That's a great plane. It's a great looking plane. It's
like unique. I know one day it's gonna be that Big Zero. I'm gonna be like, man, I haven't flown this in forever. Why is this so much? I love that thing. I can't wait to fly this one though. This balsa, I'm on a balsa kick now, and I think.
Yeah, those are the balsa ones, the big ones.
I know I'm going to your channel. You have some break-in videos on motors, right? Like that's my next step in the hobby is learning how to break in and getting into gas. Like so.
Heat cycling is key. I'll be honest with you. This X Cub that I have in this Sato, it sounds amazing. I have more people come up to me about the sound of that engine in the air and on the ground than the plane itself. Nobody cares about the plane. They care about the pilot because I have him set up, his hands move and his head moves. But they like the sound of the engine. But I've had, I'm on number 3 now. They just produce a nasty oil leak and, plug Horizon's taking care of me. But for what you spend on that motor, you don't want issues with it. And I've had issues with it, which is unfortunate, but I've had a lot of other gas engines that I've had a lot of great success with. Like anything, sometimes it's just a one-off issue or a run issue or whatever, but we'll eventually get it right. But, gas engines and firing them up, it's nice. You don't get that glow fuel and the slime and the smell and you stink all day and the whole 9 yards. But, electric's great too, because you get none of that. And the nicest part about electrics that a lot of people don't even pay any attention to is you're always behind the prop. So it's always out of the way. It's safer.
Yeah. And that's partly why I love electric. It's just safer, cleaner. I see people say, you know, oh, while you're charging your battery, I could fill up my tank and gas and go. I'm like, but to get there, like, majority of people who are flying in this hobby have enough batteries where, you know, I'm not even sweating. Like, you know, I go to, you take 3 batteries to the field with certain planes, one will be done charging by the time you've flown all 3, and then you could just, you're in a continuous loop, and you could keep knocking them out. Yeah, the troubleshooting
I find I got more
scares
batteries
me.
anymore in flying time. I got a lithium mine down here of my own.
Like, sitting there worried about RPMs, and is this right? Like, I'm going to get there, and I hope by the end, by this time next year, I will have hoped, you know, that's my goal, to have, you know, either converted one of these to gas. It's just a matter of getting it on the table, figuring it out, and obviously, I have a lot of guys in my field who can help me, so I will get the help, but I have to eventually do it on my own. You know, like, go build myself a little stand to test it, but part of that is scary. I don't want to get my hand cut off by a prop. I have absolutely zero interest in that. Like, I am,
firsthand.
You know, I get so scared. Like, when I land these big planes, I mean, this is a big prop. You know, like the 22 by 12. When it's spinning in front of you, like, I'm landing the 0, like, I taxi back my way. I shut off my throttle cut, and I pump it, like, I check it over and over again, and the first thing I do, run over the plane, unplug it right away. Make sure that motor is off. I want no interest. You know, everything I do, it's just like, you know, I do not want to even risk that. So that's a tip for every new beginner. Whenever you're messing around, just with your transmitter, take your prop off your plane if you can. Jets, not so much. You know, you can't really stick your hand in there and you know, and hurt yourself too much, but your plane could fly off the table. Ask me how I know. Throttle cut out.
Throttle cut out.
Throttle cut is big. Well, Brenden, we're already at about 1:15, so that was awesome, man. I really enjoy your channel. I'm so happy. We've talked, you know, a couple times through Facebook Messenger. So I was happy to have you on here. I hope everybody in the chat, guys, you can head over. Links to his channel are in the description of this video. Definitely check out his stuff. He, you know, the informational videos are top notch and they're fun. He's got a good personality, and the hit you with information. You know, everybody's got their niche, and I think, you know, your niche is these customizations, the fix-ups, and just the info you provide. I'm happy to watch it when needed. So yeah, that does it for all the questions here. Any parting words for you, Brenden?
No, hey, thanks to all the subscribers. Thanks for people that join in. Hey, keep plugging away, having great flights. You know, hop on the channel. Feel free to subscribe. Make sure you hit that shameless YouTube plug, the bell notification, so you get them all. And, you know, I like to keep my stuff ad-free, so I throw in some links in the chat and stuff. They're in my video descriptions as well. I just put up a Teespring customization site to help support the channel, and it just pays for the software and stuff you got to use to make videos. I enjoy the hobby and sharing information and hanging out with you guys and cooking and being at the field and just being an enthusiast of this hobby rather than a career. So the support through, you know, clothing, you make a couple bucks off the stuff, but it goes to keeping the system going. But, you know, any support out there, I greatly appreciate it. I hope to catch all you guys at the field. And if I'm there, hey, come up, hang out with me. Let's go fly together. Shoot me an invite through YouTube or the channel, and if I can make arrangements to travel to your field, hey, I would love to come hang out. My wife travels with me. She just started teaching her flying, so she's actually getting into it, which kind of cuts my hobby budget. So we're keeping her on the trainer level. We don't want her to get up into the...
Let's get you to Joe Nall in 2021. How about
let's
that?
do it.
Have you ever been to Triple Tree?
No, I have not.
There. Oh, you got to get down there. RC Disneyland. The heck with Disneyland. Come to Triple Tree and we'll have some fun.
That'll be a cool trip. But yeah, we pile a lot of stuff in the trailer, so we get 10 or 12 planes in there, and we travel, man. We're good to go.
Let's do it. All right, Brenden, thank you so much, guys. Just plain crazy, and thank you guys so much for your you know, for all the questions and everything. Check out Brendan's channel. We'll be back next Friday. Obviously, hopefully the weather's better. I want to get that Venom out. I'm going to put the high performance motor in that this week. We got to do some more boating. We got these cars that we still haven't had a chance to play with. Who knows what we're going to do on next Friday's show, but I'm sure it will be fun and exciting. And as always, guys, hit the like button on the way out the door. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.